All right, Uchenna Orji, let's try to make sense of all of this that's been happening in Ebonyi State. A lawyer and a Rise News analyst, Frank Tietie, as well as the Commissioner for Information in Ebonyi State, Uchenna Orji, both joining us. Thank you both, gentlemen. Let me begin with Uchenna Orji, the Commissioner for Information of Ebonyi State. Well, your principal, the governor of Ebonyi State, has made quite, very grave claims and allegations against the judge, in this case, Justice Inyang Ekwo, saying that the judgment was purchased. What's the basis of the claims and allegations?
Thank you very much. Let me say that as a matter of fact, the court is bound to make pronouncements, make declarations, make injunctive orders based on extant provisions of the law, provisions of the constitutions, and judicial decisions, especially that of superior courts of competent jurisdiction. They happen to be there during the proceeding, the delivery of the judgment. And I can say that the whole process was very laughable because looking at the issue for determination, which is the common issue, whether or not, rising from the defection of the governor of Ebonyi State, whether there is any provision in the constitution or in the state law that does empower the courts of any level to remove the governor or deputy, other than as provided by the constitution. And given the judgment and the issues he relied upon, that is Honorable Justice Inyang Ekwo, one would say that it is laughable, it is ridiculous. It's merely a travesty of justice that is occasioned by what I call judicial recklessness. So it is justifiable that one would say that the judgment was procured. I said this because I've gone through the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from Section 1 to Section 318. There is nothing in the Constitution that does empower the court at any level to remove an elected and duly sworn-in governor or his deputy, except as provided in Section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The judge was relying on the case of Amechi versus INEC, the case of Omeya, the popular Omeya case. And he did not know, either he felt, neglected or refused to appreciate.
Right. Mr. Orji, sorry to interrupt you, but we do have a lawyer in the House, Mr. Frank Tietie, who's going to talk about the constitutional aspects of all of this. Yes. Mr. Tietie, is there a constitutional or legal provision for defection of governors? Because in the past couple of hours, we've seen precedent cases being cited as examples, Falike versus INEC in 2016. In the case of Yahya Bello becoming the governor, we've seen the Amechi and INEC case, which Mr. Orji has just made reference to. And some people have cited Atiku as well. So which is it? Does the Constitution, the Electoral Act, make provisions for a defecting governor?
Well, thank you. It is clear that the Constitution did not make provisions expressly as to a governor's defection. The issues of defections in the Constitution refer more to members of the National Assembly and members of the state houses of assembly. So defections do not actually affect a governor. The decision of the Federal High Court in Gusau is closer to the law. Nevertheless, in our country's jurisprudence and practice, the decisions of a court are sacrosanct. They represent the current state of the law. We have a Federal High Court sitting in Abuja that has issued a judgment. It is not the judgment of Justice Inyang Ekwo, it is the judgment of the Federal High Court. And it states to the extent that Governor Dave Umahi and his deputy are no longer to be recognized as governors and deputy governor respectively. That is the position of the law, unfortunately, because from judicial precedents, no matter how stupid a judgment appears, it must first and foremost be obeyed before a complaint is made against it. If nobody should put a judge on trial because he sits there as a presiding officer of a court, it is except his decisions can only be tried on appeal. It is not a reckless thing for a judge to miss the position of the law. Many of us, including, I believe, the Honorable Commissioner and the Governor, have not read the judgment, including myself, because the judgment is not available. Now, what's important is this. It is not in the place of Governor Dave Umahi to chastise the judge. We were not there. We don't know the facts. We don't know the arguments that were canvassed. We don't know the intellectual acumen of the lawyers for both sides, and the circumstances which the judge made that provision. As it is, that is the current state of the law with regards to Ebonyi State governorship. Unfortunately, it may not be wholesome, but the judgment does not only apply to the governor and the deputy governor. It does apply to members of the Ebonyi State Houses of Assembly who actually can indeed, rightly suffer the fate of persons who defected without a cause. So until we have a contrary order of the court, at this time, I'm afraid we do not have a governor in place by the provision of that judgment in Ebonyi State.
Very quickly, let me bring it back to UCHENNA ORJI. Well, the PDP has right away, made a list of nominees to replace Umahi. They've done that to INEC. Well, we heard the governor there say that he will not obey this High Court, ruling. What exactly does the governor plan to do next?
Thank you very much. Let me first of all say that I dissent in lending authority to the expressions of my colleague who has just spoken. This is because we have had a judgment of a court of coordinate jurisdiction, the State High Court of Ebonyi State. And the issue is the same thing, the subject matter is the same thing. And it's not up to a week this judgment was given. We also have a Federal High Court in Zamfara that gave the same judgment on the same matter, issue of defection, issue of governor and deputy governor. And the law is that, and it is tried, that the person has the right to make a choice of they want to obey. It's only the appeal court that can say, we have to obey this or obey the other. And let me still give, or rather cite
because we don't have much time, just address the question that I post.
Yeah, why I said that the governor is right is because we've got a judgment of a court of coordinate jurisdiction that has the competence to pronounce on this issue of defection. So we can elect to obey the court of the High Court that has just ruled, or even the Federal Court, because it's the same subject matter.
Will that not amount to flouting the rule of law?
Yeah, let me
the judgment of a court.
That is why I said that this is judicial rascalism or judicial recklessness. And I can tell you that the state government will not leave any stone unturned in getting to petition that judge. It is not out of place that when a judge behaves rascally in judicial pronouncement.
Is it petitioning the judge or petitioning the ruling or appealing?
Yeah, it's the judge.
The ruling.
The ruling, you can appeal against the ruling. So we have all of these options and we're going to explore all of them. But let me mention that the Supreme Court is tried about this, that there is no provision in the Constitution that does recognize defection. There's no even a provision in the Electoral Act. Electoral Act has to do with pre-election and election. And the moment you have been elected and sworn in as governor, you have no business with the Electoral Act. From Section 1 to Section 153, you have got no business. And the judge relied on the Electoral Act and also relied on pre-election matter of Amechi and Omega. So we are saying with due respect that the judge erred in law, and it was an error that was avoidable, that is in bad faith.
All right. Mr. Frank Tietie, it looks like a simple constitutional question that only the Supreme Court can resolve at this moment. But let me also ask you, does this open a floodgate? Because recall the case of Cross River State, Governor Ben Ayade. We also recall the case of Zamfara, of Governor Matawale, and also the PDP, because this is not applying only to the APC. The PDP, on the other hand, has also benefited from cross-carpeting or defections when you look at Governor Samuel Otom or Governor Obaseki of Edo State. So it's a question for the Supreme Court, isn't it?
Oh, certainly, and it is not correct to say that the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement on this state of affairs as we have in Zamfara and now in Ebonyi State. Again, it is unfair to Justice Nyangekwo to describe him as reckless and incompetent. In fact, my learned friend is treading on very dangerous ground. And Governor Umahi is actually the one who has been making reckless comments when it concerns a judge that has delivered he has finished his job, his functions official. You don't criticize him that way. To be fair to the judge, if they had the intelligence and knowledge that the judge was going to rule against them, they had ample opportunity to write a petition to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court to have the judge to recuse himself. They didn't do that. Now we have a subsisting judgment of the Federal High Court. Let us not make a mockery of our country. You cannot pick and choose. With regards to those parties and with specifically to Ebonyi State governorship, there is a judgment and there are procedures for enforcement of judgment. And the days that are following will determine who remains governor. Certainly, yes, the best that can happen at this time, which my learned friend on the other side knows, and which Governor Umahi should have dwelt on, because he's made very unsavory comments against the judge, and he should remember that he's treading on very dangerous ground, because he may have lost his immunity and he could be cited for contempt for talking about a judicial officer in the manner that they have described it.
All right,
now,
very quickly, let me bring it back to Uchenna Orji. I'm sure you want to respond to that. You had enough time to, call on the judge to recuse himself. Why did you not use the opportunity?
Yeah, let me first of all mention that under the rules of court, the governor has within 90 days to take decision one way or the other. And this sure that PDP is making to say that they have nominated the replacements. We still have some time, assuming we are going on appeal. Of course, we're going to study the details and see the need to go on appeal. But let me mention that the very judgment in itself has a lot of issues. And so that judgment will certainly be appealed, and the moment it is appealed, it is going to resolve all the issues.
Okay. That's a good place to leave it. Uchenna Orji, Commissioner of Information, Ebonyi State, and Arise News analyst Frank Tietie. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this developing story today from Ebonyi State, Southeast Nigeria.